Hey guys, welcome back to Philly Sports with Giovanni. Today I have on Rich Eisen.
Yeah,
What's
buddy.
up, man?
How are you, bud? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm better for talking to you. You sent out such a nice message on Twitter, and you should know when you invited me that way how many people who love you and what you do filled up my timeline. And I'll be honest with you, Giovanni, I saw those before your video
Wow.
because it was just filling up saying, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to, I love this kid, you should do it. And I'm like, what's the it? And then I saw your nice sweet message, and here I am just a couple days later. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much for coming on. This is like a dream come true to me. I've always looked up to you. You're one of the reasons why I started doing my podcast. So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. You're too kind to say that. So um I'm thrilled to be here. This is
Thank
great.
you.
You're welcome.
So let's just get started. Um,
Sure.
how did you get into sports media?
Well, here's the deal, Giovanni. I realized I grew up in Staten Island, so up the New Jersey Turnpike from you guys down there in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I realized early on I couldn't hit the curveball and I couldn't make the jump shot. And if I wanted to get to big league sports, I probably would have to talk about it. So I started talking about it. And when I went to college at the University of Michigan, I wrote about it. And so much of what I do for a living is about the written word, even though I talk off the top of my head quite a bit. Um, Writing is so important, and getting to know the written word and how to construct a sentence and a thought and a paragraph and a point and a story and a lead and a quote and being accurate and being journalistic. It was very important. So I covered sports for the Michigan Daily, with the student newspaper at Michigan. And I covered the football team my senior year. It was Bo Schembechler's last year there. And I went and wrote for my hometown newspaper after graduating, and I always wanted to get into sports broadcasting. So I went back to school at Northwestern and made a tape to get into the school, and then got a tape coming out of the school, and got into TV that way in a small affiliate, ABC affiliate in Northern California, in a town called Redding, the Redding Chico market, where at the time there was a teenager in Chico, California, named Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if he's never asked him point blank if he ever saw me. Didn't feel like I should use my real estate whenever I chat with him about me, but that's the area of the state. And sent a tape to a that I made there to a headhunter, and ESPN saw it. It was like being a lottery winner. They found me and hired me, and now here I am talking to you.
That's so awesome. It was just out of the blue they saw it and hired you.
That's it. Really, because I just made the tape, and my on air style was very similar to what Sports Center was doing, because that's where I wanted to go. So I tailored all of my sportscasts at in Redding, California, to Sports Center, and sent a tape to a headhunter. Figuring what's the big deal? All it is first class postage, and to send it along, and they saw it. I mean, it was stunning. It really was shocking. And I was 26 years old and in the newsroom of ESPN, and I'll never forget it. Unbelievable.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Um, so, who is your favorite team out of all 32 teams to talk about on your show or on the air?
Oh, okay. Who's my favorite to talk about?
Yeah.
Um, hmm. I guess, I don't know if I have a favorite to talk about. I'm from New York City. So the team that I grew up rooting for is the same color of the team you root for. And unfortunately, Giovanni, Uh, Unlike you, I have not lived to see a Super Bowl for the New York Jets, let alone see them win one. So you've got one up on me rooting for a team wearing green to
Yeah.
start.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
that was actually my next question. Who is your favorite team? So
It's the Jets. I grew up loving the Jets. My brother is 2 years older than me, and he loved the Jets and the Mets. And so I fell in love with the Jets in the mid 70s. And then I realized early on that the Mets were not going to give me the wins that the Jets were not giving me. So I switched to the Yankees just when they got Reggie Jackson and they started winning World Series. And I've been a Yankee fan ever since, die hard. And the Jets, I can't quit them. And I hope they've got the right quarterback, you know?
yeah. Um, what do you think of Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Devontae Smith?
Well, I'll take it one at a time. Um, Jalen Hurts is the one that I know of the most because I've seen him and his body of work the most. Obviously we saw Devontae Smith last year, and you can make the case that the NFL is unkind to people his size, right? People his weight. But you can't discount the size and weight of somebody when they clearly have the talent. And if you have the right coach with a system that can utilize him, and that's going to be Nick Sirianni's major task at hand, is to create a system and a spot for Devontae Smith to allow him the open space that makes him so dangerous, as well as to avoid the hits of the grown ass men who are going to be coming to hunt for him. So I'll just leave it at that there, because I'm not going to sit here and go, well, it was such a mistake for the Eagles to use a first round draft choice that high on somebody who's Devontae Smith's height and weight. It's a different NFL now, where the offenses are definitely more year in and year out, college oriented, college based, spread them out, run pass option, which you know very well, I'm sure, as an Eagle fan. That's what Foles and Doug Peterson ran to get you climbing telephone poles and celebrations, like that. That's how it all worked out.
Yeah.
As for Jalen Hurts, I am rooting like heck for him, man, because the amount of opportunities that he's had and then taken away from him are too many to mention. And he had a very troubling thing happen to him at Alabama, and he treated it as an opportunity rather than a signal that he can't. And he did not give up or quit. And then when he finally had an opportunity to do something for himself, he transferred and had an incredible season at Oklahoma, where he was a leader of that team despite having just arrived there. And obviously, when you're following up back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner, first overall selected quarterbacks, it isn't easy to fill those shoes. And he did it expertly. And I think he did it in a way that makes me want to root harder for him, because he didn't give up ever. He didn't quit on himself. I'm sure he had many self-doubts, and I'm sure he had moments where he thought maybe he needed to take more active measures than just staying put. I'm sure there were people in his ear telling him that, maybe friends or members of his family. I don't know the answer. I'm just assuming that he heard that. And then he gets placed in a situation in Philadelphia that kind of surprised everyone. Second round selection, Carson Wentz is already there. And he made the most of a very difficult situation. I cannot imagine what he must have felt like when Doug Peterson mentioned from the podium last year that if he turns to Jalen Hurts, it would be a signal to the team that he's giving up on the season. What do you, after everything that I just described, Giovanni, of what he went through at Alabama, for him to now be in a new situation with an opportunity that he should hopefully have in front of him, that you hear from the coach saying, yeah, if we go to him, it's me indicating to the rest of the team that we're not going to try and win this year. And then circumstances deteriorated with Wentz so significantly, he had no choice but to turn to Hurts, who I thought was terrific.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about his numbers because I didn't have him on a fantasy team, but he was terrific, I thought, and got better with each passing game. And then remarkably, with the whole country watching, he had the game pulled out from under him in the fourth quarter of game 256 last year in a way that I'm still wondering what happened and why. So now here he is. He's got an opportunity to be the starter, and it does appear it's going to be a 1-year audition because of the amount of draft choices the Eagles got for Wentz. They could easily use it to package to move up to get whoever they want in the draft next year, or if there's a quarterback by trade that they could use those draft choices to go get, they would. So it looks like Hurts has got this opportunity right here, right now, and I hope he grabs that brass ring.
I think he will. I had him on my show actually,
What'd he
and
say?
I've never seen someone so calm and just like in the scenarios that he's been in, he just talks like it's like a opportunity that he got to take and that it was a learning curve for him. And that's why I love him so much, and that's why I'm behind him.
I think that's terrific, Giovanni, and I love to hear that because, that's not easy. It may, just because he is so comfortable in his own skin, and as you pointed out, a calmness to his decision making, there's got to be tons of doubt that creeps in at some point. The fact that he wards it off and has that sort of face front forward confidence is something that I find incredibly worthy of my rooting for him. And I it appears you feel the same way, which is great. And I'd love nothing more than for him to basically say, this is my team, my town, and take it, because he does have that leadership quality that you can't teach.
Yeah. And I think that he learns a lot of that from his dad. He was telling me that his dad was a coach, and his brother now is a coach.
Okay.
So he's been growing up around coaches, and his dad had a really good mentality. His dad made sure that none of his players missed dinner or breakfast, or they had a ride to school. Like
Right.
his dad was just an amazing person. I think he gets that a lot from his dad.
Well, I think that, that's an excellent observation. I did not know that about him. I will take that with me as I move on to talk about him this fall. How does that sound?
Good. So in 2019, you ran the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine, and you got a 6 flat on your third try.
Yes.
How good did that feel?
Yeah. Well, let me put this. Let me give you a couple of answers. Mentally, spiritually, it felt great. Physically, not so great. It's amazing how running in a straight line is so physically demanding. You just think, I'll just lace up these shoes and I'll get down in a stance, and it'll be so simple for me to just run.
Yeah.
No, man, it's not. It's not. And this past year, I was fortunate to have a whole bunch of Hall of Famers and other guys who were, from the NFL Legends community join me to raise as much money for charity as possible. And oh man, like Michael Vick hurt his hamstring. He still ran like a 4.7 at age 40. It's not easy, Giovanni, but inside it felt great because, I tried.
Yeah.
And two, it's for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So we're raising as much money as possible for it. So what started out as a silly lark in 2005 is now actually raising money and doing some good. And if I can run faster in the process, thumbs up on that.
Yeah. So what is your favorite part about having the Rich Eisen show?
Oh man, I think it is just being able to talk to people. I mean, I'm serious. Like what I'm fortunate to do for NFL Network, what I was fortunate to do for ESPN, and everything that I mentioned to you on the lead up to what I was fortunate to land with ESPN and then NFL Network. I talk to analysts or I deliver a highlight, but what I don't get is immediate feedback from humans and people. And I love interviewing people. I could see you do too.
Yeah.
I could see you love to meet people and you love to put your spirit and spiritualness out in the world. And that's why I got so many people saying, hey, you got to do Giovanni's podcast, because people dig you, they love you, they love your personality, and I'm thrilled that we're getting to meet on that. And I like talking to people too. I like finding out stories like what you learned from Jalen Hurts about his dad, origin stories, what makes people tick. So I love that. And then I just love mixing it up with people who call in, maybe take an opposing point of view, having a debate on that front. And I don't get to do that when I'm on TV, suited and booted, and hosting a pregame show or hosting anything again that I'm very fortunate to do. So being able to do that and then be myself, talk about my wife who gets to fill in when I'm not doing it sometimes too, talk about my kids, talk about movies, talk about pop culture, talk about things that just interest me that I saw last night, happened to me on the way to work, on the way home, that I have that sort of space. I kind of like a lot. And now, certainly in this day and age where people are seeking to connect in so many different ways, I love having that show to do it.
Yeah, that's why I love having this show. I was like, I just need a space to talk about football, and now this is my favorite thing in the world.
I love it.
I
Terrific.
love it. I love when I go out and people recognize me and come up to me.
Aha.
I love the interaction, like face to face with people at the Lincoln Financial Field. It's just, I love everything about it.
I love that. It's great, and the feedback that you get from people must mean that you're doing something right. And again, what we're doing right now is not easy to do, Giovanni, which is just have a conversation and let the listener or viewer be the fly on the wall. That's not easy to do, and you're very natural at it, and I think that's really cool. And I clearly that's how people respond to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So to end it off,
Yes, sir.
What has been your favorite part of your career so far?
Wow, what has been my, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, I had 7 years of my life on ESPN, doing Sports Center at a time before highlights and things of that nature became seen in the palm of your hand on a phone within 30 seconds of it really happening in life. Like people tuned in as for appointment viewing. So I was fortunate to arrive on Sports Center at that point, while it also transitioned into the world of the internet, to be honest with you. I mean, I got there in 96 and left in 03, and people were already seeing things on ESPN.com, and ESPN had created their own cell phone. If people remember that, I think that might predate you in a way, but
No,
so it was very fortunate for me to be there. I also met my wife in the newsroom. So my children, my 3 kids are on the planet. They're ESPN babies technically. And then I got the chance to create something completely new that is now in its 19th NFL season, about to embark on it. 18 years. We're going to celebrate 18 years at NFL Network, which is kind of mind blowing. That has been incredible. And I've gotten to do so much with them, for them, on behalf of them, from launching every possible show that you could with the exception of the morning show, and Good Morning Football is now taken off as a spectacular must-see show. I'm not part of that, but I love being part of a network that was created to open a space for something that people enjoy. So that's been rewarding. And then, of course, nothing beats having a show with my own name on it. Then I'm being honest with you. I mean, it's something I don't take for granted. I'm about to celebrate 7 years on that show. And I'm very fortunate. So I really can't name anything that I I love more than the other, that I get to do a whole bunch of stuff and have planted a bunch of flags for other colleagues of mine to grow along with the project. If I had to choose one specific show, which I'm sure you would talk about, here, let me show you something I got here. Hold on, where is it? Hold on a second. You'll like this. All right, it's the NFL 100 all-time team show tile. Everybody who was on the NFL 100 all-time team got a tile and was put on this wall at NFL Films, which is just, I imagine, over the Ben Franklin Bridge from you, in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and they made up one with my name on it. Then they sent it to me, and I've got it right here in my office. And being part of that, and with Bill Belichick being one of the analysts in studio, and Chris Collinsworth and NFL Films being the ones behind it, and then so many of the players that showed up in person, it was ridiculously special. It really was. And that's what I love to do. Is my job is to talk and broadcast in a manner that I think you understand, Giovanni, which is to make the listener and the viewer the fly on the wall, that it's not really about you. It's about the interview subject and what stories you can get out of that interview subject and pass along to your listener and your viewer.
Yeah.
And that's what my job was to just be the person sitting there to move the conversations along, and also express some of the, no doubt, mind-blown sentiments of people sitting at home watching, like, can you believe this?
Yeah.
And I had that same feeling when they sent me this thing at home, and there it is.
That's amazing.
Right there, brother. And I'm lucky.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. I'll do this. It's not a one-off, Giovanni. We now know each other. We follow each other on Twitter now. And if you want me back during the season to talk about, the Eagles 8-0 start, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about whatever it is, whatever you want. You know how to reach out to me now.
All right. Thank you so much.
No, and thank you. What you said was very kind. And if there's anything that I've ever done to make you want to do what you're doing so well, it fills my heart, man. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.